So what is a chemical equation? A chemical equation is the symbolic representation of chemical reaction in the form of symbols and formulae of the reactants and the products. Suppose if we write it in this way, N2 plus H2 giving NH3. So this is a chemical equation. Suppose if we write Mg plus O2 MgO. So this is also a chemical equation. Suppose Zn plus HCl, ZnCl2 plus H2. So here you can see we are using the symbol or the formula like for nitrogen N2, for hydrogen H2, for ammonia NH3. Similarly for magnesium Mg, for oxygen O2, and for magnesium oxide we have used the formula MgO. For zinc Zn, for hydrochloric acid this is HCl, and for zinc chloride it is ZnCl2, and for hydrogen H2. So when we represent a chemical reaction in this form, it is known as a chemical equation. So how to define a chemical equation? A chemical equation is the symbolic representation of a chemical reaction in the form of symbols and formulae of the reactants and the products. So this is a chemical equation. Now students, a chemical equation can be of two types. One, unbalanced chemical equation. Two, balanced chemical equation. So these equations, these are unbalanced. And when we balance them, they were called balanced chemical equation. So the two types of chemical equations are, number one, unbalanced. This is type unbalanced chemical equation. This is also known as skeletal equation, skeletal. And number two, balanced chemical equation. So please remember, the other name of unbalanced chemical equation is skeletal equation. So if you are asked what is a skeletal equation, don't get confused. It simply means the unbalanced chemical equation. So your answer would be unbalanced chemical equation is known as a skeletal equation. And what is a balanced chemical equation? In unbalanced chemical equation, what happens, the number of atoms of each element is not equal on both sides of the equation. But in case of balanced chemical equation, the number of atoms of each element on both sides of the atoms are equal. So let us find the difference between the skeletal and balanced chemical equation. See here, if we write N2 plus H2 and NH3, this is a skeletal equation. Why it is a skeletal equation? See here, N2 is, there are two atoms of nitrogen here, but here there is one atom. So they are not balanced. Similarly here there are two atoms of hydrogen, but here three atoms of hydrogen. So they are not balanced. The number of atoms are not balanced. That's why it is a skeletal equation or unbalanced chemical equation. Now when we equate the number of atoms of each element on both sides of the equation, it becomes a balanced chemical equation.